The volatility in the markets continues as Jerome Powell delivers an absolute kick to the dick of risk-on assets. We'll be discussing that, the latest with NVDA, fart coin, everything else in crypto, and probably some more today on Money Never Sleeps. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. As we get going, do us a favor, like today's episode, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And remember, nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice, so please do your own research for making any buys or sells. Kev, we had more bad news on Monday after the show about NVIDIA and the fact that they're going to be, limited in what they can sell to China. We had Jerome Powell delivering a message that for some reason, the markets didn't see coming in regards to policy, which, I don't know, man. I think people are trying to be the smartest person in the room, and they just look like idiots. In what world is Powell going to go away from the directive of maximum employment while keeping inflation in check? And he's basically said that they're just going to keep doing that, and rates will be adjusted accordingly. So the markets are shitting their pants right now. Fart coin, however, looks strong as hell. We'll talk about that later. But how are you feeling today? What are your thoughts on everything going on in the market?
Yeah, here's the thing. We knew that tomorrow was OPEX. It's a shortened week. We're going to get some volatility, right? We had some bad news that broke yesterday. Of course, it doesn't. We got the opposite of that news leading into this week. So a lot of people were just selling from higher. We got news that Dimon also sold from higher, $32 million sale. Who didn't sell, though? Ryan Cohen of GME and Larry Chang, two insider buys, one on margin leverage. So there are things out there that people believe in, and then there's things out there that the market just has no faith in. Dimon selling, last time he sold, I believe, was right after the February OPEX. What happened? We started selling off like crazy. So I think a lot of these things are just kind of coinciding. Trump and Powell did not give the markets much faith. Especially when Powell asked if the Fed would intervene if the markets got bad. He said no with an exclamation mark. So right now the markets are like, oh, we're on our own here. Trump is going to war with 70 countries against China in this trade war, which is absolutely insane. He's trying to turn everyone against China. I don't know if that's going to win. If he's going to win that battle. I really don't know what's going on there, but these markets in general just feel like they're in shambles. I think that it's more of an OPEX thing, but we're going to probably see some more volatility open up starting Monday. The window for volatility opens up right after OPEX. And, if this is part of a greater move to the downside, then we probably see it in the first half of this monthly options contracts from April 23rd or whatever to like May 15th, 16th, whatever that, when that OPEX is. So a lot to talk about, crazy shit going on, but that's kind of just where my mind is right now.
Looking at some of the data, we had retail sales come in over expectation. Big reason for that is people are trying to get out ahead of increased prices in regards to tariffs. So wouldn't be surprised to see that number come down. And it was already expected. There's expected to be a 1.2% increase, but it was actually 1.4 was the number that came in. Sales minus automobiles came in at a higher rate as well. Next week, we get not too much. I mean, we're kind of in a lull right here when it comes to data, and the markets haven't really been responding too much to that recently anyways. It's mainly been tariff and Fed talk focused. So, we see that equity is just taking a beating right now. NASDAQ down 4% on the day. S&P down almost 3%. Tech leading the charge down. I mean, you have NVIDIA down almost 10%, closing in on 101. You have Netflix giving back a bunch of the gains from yesterday. Microsoft down 4%. Meta down 4.5%. Apple down 4.5%. Then you're looking at some of the other risk off, things that people want. Gold hit a new all-time high today. Gold continuing to churn up all the way at $33.40 per ounce at the moment. Silver having a nice run. Meanwhile, if you look at the treasury market, rates are down, so buying is up. We're seeing once again just this desire to de-risk for the most part right now. It's just going to be, I mean, don't get chopped out. Is all I can really say. Like, maybe we go lower. I think we will probably go lower, but trying to catch that falling knife and time that bottom is not for most people. So, yeah, it's a weird time out here. I'm continuing to just kind of sit in the stock positions I have. I converted the rest of the ETH I had to more Bitcoin last week, so I no longer have any more ETH. I converted most of my soul to Fartcoin because I'm a believer that Fartcoin. Listen, Fartcoin
funny.
has a better
Fartcoin.
Fartcoin has a better chance of 5xing than Sol does, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's more likely? Fartcoin goes to a $5 billion market cap, or Sol goes to 600 a token. Like, I don't know. I think I hope I'm on the right side of this one. Otherwise, my wife is going to leave me, and she's going to get half of my Fartcoin, which if it's not worth shit, is going to put me in a bad spot.
Yeah, it's low market caps might be the play. I do have to go over the indexes real quick just because it's kind of funny. We got 3 things to go over real quick. Right here at the S&P, we talked about that dead man, the hanging man. We talked about that 2 days ago. We literally called the top of the market. So that was a very easy call on that end. Also, forgot to mention, we got a bit of a what up there. Hold on. We're going to have a few more of those. Hanging man, one of those. Hanging man right over here, called the height of it. And today we got a third one for what I wish I had a special animation for this, but it's a triple death cross. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought that we would have 3 death crosses in the major indices? I mean, you probably got one for the Russell. No, we got that a while ago. So I think we did it for the Russell a while back. But yeah, broader markets continue to be shitty. We talked about this being a wave 2, this relief rally. It went right into the death cross, right? It was trying to prevent it, didn't get high enough, hit resistance. Now it's rolling over. Now it's rolling over a little bit. I know tomorrow we have OPEX. Today was VIXX. Tomorrow being OPEX, you might see kind of sideways trading unless they just decide to unload before Monday. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think it's more likely that they unload on Monday or something happens starting Monday onwards. But across the board, yep, you're in a wave 5. This is the last wave, so I think we are going to find the bottom fairly soon. I'm looking at where some of these things can go. I think it's going to definitely go lower than, like, say for the NASDAQ, it's going to go lower than the low that we got a few weeks back, which would be sub 16.5. We would also see sub 36.6 for the Dow, and probably, I don't even know how low this was. This one went as low as 48.34 for the S&P. I mean, once it goes below that, then you kind of completed the wave. I'm going to be pretty honest and think that this is going to happen between April and May, and then we're going to have that bottom. Something is going to come in. There's going to be some catalyst where we rally from that, but it's just all the technicals are pointing at a greater pullback in the market, right? Volume's going down as stochastic RSI is going up, as the price was going up. It's bearish divergence on the S&P. You got the stochastic RSI on the daily for the NASDAQ, extremely overbought. Same thing with the Dow Jones. We're going to see a lot of those kind of roll over, in my opinion. And, some things are going to do really well and some things won't. You probably will see a bit of a VIX pop here. Now, do I think it's going to be a major VIX pop? Probably not. It seems like they've controlled this pretty well in both directions, right? We had that big move up here on April 7th. That was with a lot of the shit that happened in Japan. But that's kind of quieted down for the time being. We can look over to the Nikkei doing the same exact things as the U.S. equity market. So this might be the first one to make a move come Sunday night here in the U.S. You look at where the yen is also in currencies. It's the lowest it's been since the yen carry trade unwind in August of 2024. And it's getting a lot stronger as time goes by today, mainly because the dollar is kind of in a shitty place, given what Trump and Powell have been saying. And a lot of people are just betting that the dollar is going a lot lower. How low can it go? I don't know. This isn't a game of limbo, but at some point it is going to bottom out and you're going to start seeing this climb like crazy, right? Uh, Trump and his tariffs, he's swatting flies with a bubble wand. I'm not sure if he's doing much damage to China, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to continue to be problematic for the US in the short term, at least until maybe he pauses it or something. There's something that's going to have to stop the bleeding because this is probably going to get into it's a pretty dangerous territory. A lot of margin calls most likely coming. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's the broader market that we're looking at right now. There's not a lot of bullish indication in the short term. I think there's a lot of bullish indication that we could get a few months of rallying, maybe some fart coin rallies, some small caps. That's where I think a lot of money will flow into. But across the board, you're seeing a lot of these pullbacks. I mean, the NVIDIA news, this was so easy to call too. We talked about it on the show the other day. We went to the resistance lines and we started selling off. And literally what happens 2 days later, right? It's been very much, let's pump these markets to get out of them as quick as possible. So they threw that news Sunday night, oh, NVIDIA is going to do extremely well. Next thing you know, oh, we're going to probably lose $5.5 billion worth of revenue off of our inability to sell the H2O chips in China. It plummets, right? You're probably going a lot lower in NVIDIA. I think NVIDIA is probably going to hit that 96 level. And if it doesn't hold, then you're looking at 82. That's just kind of my opinion. Looking at some of the stuff, Apple also very funny charts. It rallied all the way to 212 at 1.220 in pre-market that Monday, and now is trading at 193. So, that's a massive swing. How much is it down from that height? About 9%, and the broader market hasn't necessarily crashed yet. We've had bullish momentum to the upside the past few days, while some of these big tech stocks are pulling back. Don't think that they're going to be the ones to be holding on to into the summer rally. My opinion
And
again.
it's still sitting in the overbought territory as well. Just wanted to point that out.
Exactly. A few other things too with Tesla as well. Powell came out today and said that the car market's pretty much fucked. It's going to take a long time for it to recover, right? So you're seeing Tesla down a good amount today. Regardless, it's based on the strength of the consumer. Also, Tesla's not going to have as many China sales, I believe now. I don't think they want to buy that. They have plenty of EV vehicles over there. This has also hurt a position of mine. I'm going to pull up FFAI, a company that doesn't make electric vehicles. I mean, they do, but they don't ship any. You can see this red candle that I got on today's news. Insane. It's down 15%. There's a lot of stuff that is just coming out that is just not good for, the vehicle market. However, this, again, isn't one that I'm necessarily concerned with. I think that, if anything, this is a hedge that UBS is using against GameStop. We'll talk about in a few minutes. But across this, you're going to see a lot of volatility, I think, in the coming days. Maybe this is a front run to what's coming for a lot of other stocks, but I think we're going to see a very illiquid market, especially if this yen continues to get stronger and the dollar gets weaker. We're in a pretty bad place, I think, after Friday or after tomorrow's close.
All right. Let's talk crypto for a little bit. I want to start. We'll do Bitcoin, but we need to talk Bitcoin dominance for a second. It is back over 64. If it closes above 64, it'll be the first daily close at that level in over 4 years. So, alts are not looking like they're in a particularly great place right now. Bitcoin, I mean, that's kind of where the safety is being felt. Powell had some positive things to say about crypto, but Bitcoin also inching closer and closer to that death cross.
Yeah, the death cross is coming. I don't care what anyone says. You're finding a lot of resistance around this area, right? Every time you wick up to that 50 moving average, you're getting slammed right back down. And you've had a pretty good rally into it, but we saw what happened in TradFi. Once you rally into the death cross, if you're not able to reclaim it, and if you do reclaim it and you're not closing above it consistently, you're going to come back and you're going to go below it. You're going to probably see a bit of a move to the downside. What coincides with this as well is the stochastic RSI is extremely overbought. Volumes are fairly low. It could be one of those things where you see a mass liquidation event in Asia and they just sell off a bunch of it. And then you have, we've had a lot of these in the past, right? We had one back in February. There's a couple of them where the market just absolutely tanks and then comes back a few hours later. I don't know if it'll come back if it does tank from here, though. I think it's going to try and go to wherever it needs to bottom out at, and then you might trade around there for some time, but it's probably going to move fairly fast. And you hinted at it, Bitcoin dominance is just absolutely insane, right? Only has a little bit more to go to break, beat this February high. And we said on the show a few days ago that Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to push up higher. This isn't good for alts. I think this is what's going to bring in the bottom for a lot of alts, especially when Bitcoin does pull back. You're going to see a lot of outflow of capital in general, in my opinion. And maybe that's where you find some really good deals. Even Farcoin, I'm not going to say is safe from a move to the downside, but I do think that it benefits if it does pull back and it holds that level of support. You probably see a lot of capital that did flow out of Bitcoin flow into some of the other alts in the near future, right? Again, I think markets need some type of guarantee that there can be some type of extremely strong rally. You're not necessarily seeing it now because obviously we're in a push to the downside, but once we do see Bitcoin dominance get into this, 64 and a half level, you have a really good chance that everything's going to pull back pretty strong, right? Just looking at some alts real quick. You're between the 15 to 200 right here on XRP. Doesn't look very strong to me, in my opinion. If you lose that 200, then you're probably going a lot lower. You look at ETH, which has been dog shit, hasn't moved nearly at all. Volumes have been low as can be, and you can see it as extremely overbought, and it pushed up extremely overbought quickly. So there's a lot of things that are just telling you that, there's more strength in Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been holding fairly flat for the most part, but these alts, I think, are going to get wrecked on this move to the downside. Not to say that Bitcoin isn't either, right? But then you look at USDT dominance, still holding pretty strong, bounced off these. It looks like it's oversold on the daily, so we could see a bit of a push to the upside, which means that there'd probably be a sell-off in the broader markets for crypto. And then you look at some things like Sol. You're touching the 50 moving averages resistance. If you're not able to break above that, you're going to test lower. Link, not even testing the 50 moving average and already overbought. So the alt market looks really shitty in my opinion. It's not much else to say. We look at Farcoin real quick. Farcoin, USDT, and just see how this is playing out. It is rolling over a little bit. So you might get a flash crash down to this level of support, but if it holds, I think we're going to have some pretty good continuation. That might be offer some people a really good entry point. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you had this cup and handle breakouts. Maybe it comes back down. You get some type of stealth QE, or the markets find out that they're pausing the tariffs until September or something stupid like that. And then you see the markets just absolutely rip. I think these low market cap ones are going to do extremely well. Farcoin still structurally looks like it found a really good bottom.
Oh, yeah. The fart is getting ready to rip. Let me tell you something. All right. Anything worth noting when it comes to alts at the moment?
Nah. Alts are in a very, like I said, they're at the.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're like in and out, but you're good now. Alts are pretty much at the mercy of Bitcoin here. I will probably be buying some alts, not now, but when Bitcoin does have a really good drop, I think that you're going to see that rotation of capital, like I said, and maybe you have a really good alt rally before absolute pandemonium come later this year. But right now, they don't look lucrative to me at all. If we're looking at things that might push to the upside, I think it is time to talk about GameStop once again, as we do every day. And the reason I talk about GameStop is because we got more insider buys. Ryan Cohen, CEO, borrows $1 billion, 500 of which he's using in margin to buy GameStop stock on Schwab, which is, I don't know why he's using Schwab, but regardless, it shows that he's extremely bullish and he expects the price to be around the same level or push up further from here. That's honestly very encouraging for me as a GameStop investor. And you're also seeing Larry Chang, like I said, he bought some more stock. Meanwhile, Jamie Dimon offloading a shit ton. We also know that 420 is in 4 days and OPEX is tomorrow. So pretty much the warning that Roaring Kitty, again, I know I sound like such a fucking idiot when I bring up Roaring Kitty, but I know this guy is so much smarter than the internet sometimes gives him credit for, or CNBC, I should say. The internet actually thinks he's smart. I think he's smart. But this options expiration tomorrow was the final date. I'm pretty sure that he was saying, all right, time to cover your shorts, right? This should be playing. If we're in the Big Short 2 movie, I hope this is the point where they're playing Closing Time by Semisonic. And then come Sunday night, they're playing Paradise City, because I think the squeeze that could break the derivatives market could be coming up, and that might be what this greater market is looking at, right? I expect us to drop at least 500 to 600 points from where we currently are. And if the derivatives market just starts to eat shit, we just get tons of margin calls and start seeing something like Melvin Capital happen all over again, there's a good chance that the Fed might have to step in and do some type of stealth QE or BTFP bullshit, something similar along those lines. But we're seeing really good momentum into what I would anticipate is a window of volatility come Monday. So that tells me that the two might coincide. If you get a Roaring Kitty tweet on 420, I mean, I don't know what to expect Monday morning. I expect the limit up. Not saying it's going to go to like $100 instantly, but I think there's a very good chance that you are going to be looking at somewhere in the mid to high 30s. Right here, I said that we'd be pulling back into the 50 moving average, the top of this parallel channel. I think that's what's happening. The volumes are decreasing and pulling down a little bit, but I do think that there is going to be some momentum that comes in the next few weeks that pushes us more parabolic than we are currently trading, right? We saw that we were pulling back today. Looks like it's trying to find a little bit of momentum. People are buying it right now. It's got to stay above the 15 to 200. I think it's got to stay above this parallel channel. If it touches this tomorrow and it closes above it, then I think you're looking at a slingshot. We could potentially be in a major squeeze scenario. Who's going to get hurt off of this? Obviously the clearinghouses, obviously the hedge funds, the margin calls are going to be going out like crazy. And there is one institution I think that's going to be hurt the most, and that's going to be UBS. We got some news about them today. Oh, you know what? We got to play one more time just for them because they are someone that I think is going to be in a lot of trouble soon. They're going to be suffering. You're well below the 15 to 200 moving average. And look at this parallel channel that we were talking about. It broke right out of it. I mean, you're lower than where it entered that position on May. Look what date. May 1st, 2024. What happened in May of last year? Roaring Kitty went fucking ape shit, posting nonstop about GameStop. We're coming full circle, guys. Something is going to happen with UBS. That's why I'm very bullish on FFAI, because I know that they are the largest holders of that. I believe they hold like 8% of the stock, and they loaded up right before January 9th because they expected GameStop to push up. That was going to be their hedge, right? So if GameStop does decide to squeeze, we are in absolute territory where something might break, something might fail. Fucking the internet might actually beat UBS. But the other thing is too, you have to understand that there's a lot of hedge funds that are in on this GameStop trade now. The convertible bond, a lot of people bought that up. Ryan Cohen pretty much invited a lot of hedge funds and Wall Street in. Wall Street also benefited off the last squeeze. So I'm not surprised that it might be the same players. It's going to be interesting to see who's the one that is caught holding the bag of shit. I think it's going to be UBS. I think it's going to be a lot of people who bet against this. Again, it has to be under $1 for a lot of these people to be profitable on their shorts. That's not going to happen. I don't know what the news is going to be. Maybe it's a tweet. Maybe Ryan Cohen announces that GameStop's going private, and then they have to buy back all those shares, and that's the squeeze. So a lot of things that could potentially happen. But I think we're going to see fireworks come Monday. That's just my somewhat educated opinion. It is not financial advice one bit, but this is why I'm bullish on GameStop, and I like the stock.
He likes the stock. I like the fart. On that note, we are going to wrap it up for today. Appreciate those of you who joined us. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. If you're new and you enjoyed the show, subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment as well if you're so inclined. We'll be back on Friday. Probably a shorter one since the market is...
I think it's closed Friday.
Is it closed Friday? All right. Then no show Friday.
Yeah. There's
no show Friday. We'll be back Monday. If the fireworks that Kevin is predicting are happening, then
time to squeeze.
Be a pretty interesting day. Time for the squeeze. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week. Have a good weekend. We will see you on Monday.
Again, nothing financial advice, but take care, everyone.